Edu, and welcome to the FluentReads Founders for Growth series. How are you doing today?
Very good, very good. It's Friday, so I'm happy to be here.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do is first we're going to start. How would you like to introduce yourself to the FluentReads community?
Yeah, I'm Edu Forte. I'm the founder of Common Sense Finance. Uh, I live in Barcelona. Actually, I live in a town near the Pyrenees. That is really beautiful. I'm married. I have a kid that is 3 years old. Um, I'm Argentinian, but I have living here in Spain about 12, 13 years. Yeah, and I'm uh, I'm I'm a happy person.
Okay, okay, good to hear. Okay, so we're going to be talking about nonfiction books, specifically one, and then a little bit um, about a startup and your experience as a founder. So first, tell us a little bit about why you enjoy reading nonfiction books in English.
I must say I enjoy reading in general. I don't have like a particular predilection for non or fiction books. I like to
Okay.
read. Uh, but in particular, obviously, non-fiction books usually are much more related with entrepreneurship or the more business related things I like, and it's a bit my source of wisdom on that sense.
Okay, okay. And how do these books help you for your own personal and professional growth?
Yeah, it helped a lot. Obviously, because you learn uh, something new, or you improve something, or give you ideas or different approaches or on things I like, or usually it helped me a lot to discover new things. Usually, like reading these non-fiction books, I discover something between lines that leads me to a new thing from there. And also in other ways, like to help me to improve my English, especially my business English, that that is slightly different of like a conversational regular English or more vanilla English you may have on regular conversations. And it's good to find these words on the for the business side on that sense. But usually I'm for the knowledge on the books.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And tell us a little bit about your English language journey, like how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, I started studying English, I think about when I was on primary school. We didn't have English in our school at that time. When I live in Argentina, it was not that common that you have English classes on the school. So we our parents sent us to English Institute that was like a couple of streets away from our place. Basically, you go twice a week for 1 or 2 hours to learn English as a kid. Uh, then when we switched school because we changed the neighborhood, then we have English in the school as well. But I think mostly my English journey was more connected with in Argentina, or at least in Latin America. It's much more common to all the television shows are subtitled, except like cartoons. But if you see a series, for example, in that is something different that happens here in Europe, that they you go to movies and everything is not in the original version. In Argentina, we have more that everything is in the original language and you read with subtitles, and for somehow it's there on in the air and you get it, and you improve it much more because of that.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, so we're gonna move into our deep dive today. So, we're gonna start our book that of choice that you chose is "Fooled by Randomness" by
Mhm.
Nassim Taleb. Can you tell us a little bit about this book?
Yeah. This book is a part of a series of books that Nassim Taleb wrote. Nassim Taleb is a really relevant author. I mean, is mainly known by his Black Swan book,
Mhm.
uh, um, but this Fully by Randomness is part of this series of books, and it's a really interesting book because it addressed a topic that is randomness, and how randomness uh, affects our lives in many more ways that we thought, and it puts like really interesting examples of how uh, random events are something permanent and steady in our daily life.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about your three quotes and three takeaways. I'm going to read the quote, and then you'll just follow up by a response and go a bit deeper. All right.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So your first quote we have here is no amount of observation of white swans can allow the inter. Sorry, I'm going to repeat that. No
You
amount.
can do it. Yeah. I can teach you English if you want.
No amount of observation of white swans can allow the inference that all white swans are white. But the observation of a single black swan is sufficient to refute that conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, I think that is a really, really good sample. And what basically what he's saying is because we see something happening every time the same way, I mean, that necessarily doesn't mean that uh, will be still happening that way all the time. And with the swan thing, like it's actually actual example. I mean, like uh, there is only black swans in Australia. So if you have lived all your life and you never went to Australia, or you will think that all swans are white because it's normal, except from one place. So basically, just to seeing one black swan, it basically erase all the knowledge about that. And I think that what happens in life that we and we we tend to think that some events are always like this because it's what we have seen, but not necessarily that is actually true. And one single event that is different will erase the entire theory.
Okay, all right. And do you think this is perhaps an application of in the startup scene in the startup world of how this
Yeah,
can be also useful?
yeah, it's uh, it's 100% true. I mean, because especially in the startup uh, scene, we have this like survivorship bias where we uh, we we magnify much more success rather than failure, where failure is the norm and success is the exception. But we tend to think that if you, because we see only the survivors, and
Mm.
and and then we tend to think that it's always like this, uh, uh, and 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 on a startup it also happens with failure as well. I mean, like we especially in your business, that if you are in a in a situation, you always think that it will be like that. I mean, it happens to companies every time that they think they have earned something because it have been like this for the last years, and then something happens. I mean, and anything could be a black swan.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. Let's go to the next quote that you have here. Remember that nobody accepts randomness in his own success, only his failure.
Yeah. This, I think, is an amazing quote. It's one of amazing. Actually, I have a huge impact on my way of thinking. Uh, Basically, what he's saying is, when we say success, okay, we don't add to this success all the random events that may happen to happen. I mean, uh, obviously, there is opportunity, but if you look closer, I mean, I said, if I look closer to my life, I mean, all the small successes that I have also are connected with some sort of random events at certain period of time. But when we fail, we tend to think, no, it's because something external that I haven't control happened. But when we success, we don't say, hey, no, I was just lucky, I was just there, and this happens to me. We overweight our personal skill on the success side, and we completely underweight our skill on the failure side, and we say, no, it was something external, it was something random. I mean, we failed because of COVID, we failed because at that time that's what's happening. But when we success, no, it's because we were super good at doing this, and we were like the and 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 I think this is really important to be aware, because actually, when we look others people's success as well, I mean, like, we need to think, okay, what was happening at that time when this happened? Uh,
Mm.
um, what was happening? Why this is happening? I'm not saying that everything is luck. I'm but I'm saying that luck or certain random events that are external to affect much more the the success than we think.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And this is quite common in the startup scene.
Yeah, yeah, it's really common because, again, I'm talking about this survivorship bias we have, and 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 actually, when you look at entrepreneurs, and then we have like this, like bootstrap ideas, or like this Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, like and um, I'm not saying that they're like uh, 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 people that we can have an example, but are more unique persons that the word is not like Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, like, or like, this is not like the unique people that happens to be that the they are smart enough, they know something enough, and also in a way are connected in a certain moment of time to that allow that to happen. And I think that is important. It's not the same to be born in the US that to be
Mm.
born in a third world country, and this will affect that random event where you have born, uh, uh, will determine that success in a way. And I think that happens in many ways also with minorities. I mean, like, let's go, it's the same to have born in the US rather than in a third world country for your personal success. uh, it have an influential. Uh, it's the same to be a white guy in the US that are part of a minority in the US. It's not the same. That doesn't mean that you will not have success, but it determines in a
Mm.
way how closer you are from success. It's the same to be a woman or a man for determine. No, it's not. I mean, this random events are really affects your life in a way. I mean, like, and what happens around you while you were doing something. For example, I'll put an example with our own company. Common Sense, we are a digital asset management firm, and um, when basically we are really connected with the crypto industry. So when we started our first round, our seed round, at that moment was like a huge momentum on crypto. So there was like this external event that is basically was creating a sort of bias in order to help us to rise around. So we 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 get the funding at this moment in time. Like a couple of months later, like the market were the other way. It was really difficult to raise funds. So why we raise funds at that point in time? Because we were like super good and super successful, and then we were awesome, we have a great idea, or because the market and it was like a huge momentum for crypto
Hmm.
and everybody was talking about that. And so I think it's both. It's not, that is what this book teach me. It's not that because I was like super clever, like talking about what we do and blah blah blah, and I was like super good convincing people. It's because on the back was also a good momentum that this is like this is something external that is random and help us on this success. I think it's like right now, for example, with AI, all the AI companies are getting funded is because they are good, successful, and they are super clever in doing this. Maybe some of them are, but uh, the momentum of what's going outside that
Hmm.
this external event, that narrative is really going in your direction of
Hmm.
on the success. I think that uh, um, it's something that we need to be aware of.
I think you bring up an excellent point because many times when you have aspiring founders or current founders and you see these articles of these great entrepreneurs and what they were able to achieve, or even if you look back in history, and say this is what they did, this is how they did it, but they it's kind of, it's reductionistic in a way. You kind of zoom in and say this is what they did, this is what they did, but you don't kind of zoom out and have the bird's eye view and say they were able to do this because this and this. And I think it's a great perspective to have and to take into consideration, because you can't compare being, during the dot-com bubble, or being in a situation where Apple launched the iPhone, for example, and how that was able to be maybe a catalyst in some ways for different industries. So yeah, I think you bring up
Yeah,
an excellent point.
yeah. I think it's also you can go even further and to see how it's like in the macro level and on the global
Hmm.
level. I mean, I think this is something um, really important to be aware of where you born, who you are, who
Yeah.
are your parents, whatever. I mean, this has a definitive role in your success. Without we like to think that it's because
Hmm.
we or us we do
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
and it's connected in a way with that.
Definitely. Definitely. Okay. Let's go to your third quote. It's short. Most people give up before the rewards.
Yeah, and I think that it's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I think this is more connected with the compounding effect of of things in life
Hmm.
and in business, and and I think that we are really short-term sight in a way. Uh, and actually, I sometimes speak about people about long term, and they speak about like the next 2 years, for example, like long term. And I say no, it's not long term. I mean, it's not a perfect definition. One long term could be defined, but uh, uh, I think that, for example, if we go to business example, and then uh, for example, if you go to the stock market, there is this phrase like price is what you pay, value is what you get. Um, and usually when you invest in a company, uh, uh, you need to wait enough time to the business side of the company becomes more important that the price of the company at that time. I mean, that's the reward. This needs time. I mean, in a, especially in startup, nothing is happening, at least in the first 2 years. Not much is happening. Um, and when you see like this, uh, 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 great companies, and when I mean great companies, actually, when you see companies that they're in business for more than 50, 100 years, I mean, and you see all the way through to the success, it takes a lot of time to settle. So we see the we see the ending, but we don't see everything. So it's, if I don't know, if we go back to the Apple sample, it's pretty clear right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty clear right now, but it's not that clear 20 years ago or 30 years ago. It's not that clear. It's not that clear. So the reward was there, but you needed to wait 20 years to see the reward, or more to see the reward. It's not that clear. And I think with many aspects in life, with let's say with English, I mean that we are talking about English, the reward is not that clear when I started study as a kid. I mean, it took like a lot of time, at least I must tell you. Let's say I started to study when I was 7 years old or something like that. It, it took me like at least 15 years to make sense for me English. I mean, like it was like something on the back. I mean, but it so that was a reward. But it took 15 years to settle all that, to make sense to me at least.
Yes, I think you bring up an excellent point, and sometimes you don't actually know in that moment the significance it will have. You have to kind of look back and reflect on that. So you need kind of like a driving force to keep you going, to propel you forward, because you don't have all of the information that's necessary, and you can't always look at what happened before to know exactly what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, and you need to wait.
Yeah,
The problem is on the wait.
yeah.
Yeah, if you want, I mean, there is stuff that give you instant results and like instant rewards. That's why we like all this stupid games like Candy Crush and these kind of things, because give you instant rewards, instant feedback, or like you do it right or you do it wrong. But with important things in life, uh, rewards
Mhm.
usually uh, 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 um, take much more time to appear.
Yes, definitely.
If
Okay.
they appear, if
If they
they,
appear, if they
yeah,
appear, exactly,
yeah,
exactly, exactly. Okay, we're gonna move on to your three takeaways. So let's.
yeah,
Your first one is Luck's role. Success often mistakenly attributed to skill, not recognizing the impact of randomness.
yeah. I mean, this is what we talk on the first
Hmm.
place, is that we need to address randomness in our daily life as a real thing going on every time,
Hmm.
and not uh, be, not to overweight our skill. It's not that to have a skill to learn or to, it's not important, but uh, 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 random or random events are uh, 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 it's are going on every time. I mean, like you can go outside and you can get hit by a bus. It's actually random. It could happen. It's
Yeah.
actually an actual thing. It can happen to you. I mean, like Yeah, no, I was like here. I finished my podcast. I was super happy. I went out and like I get hit by the bus, and that's the random. And then you see like this awesome people that that for a complete random event go affected in a way or another. Uh, and I think that we need to be much more aware of that.
Okay. All right. All right, let's move on to your second one. Cognitive biases. People misinterpret randomness, seeing patterns where none exist.
Yeah, and this is the uh, I think this is a more scientific approach. I mean, many people will not agree with me on this. I mean, but I think, for example, when for example, in the stock market, we have like these people that they like to read charts, and they try to forecast or to see a pattern when actually it's more than proof that there is no pattern, and then we try to see patterns in places that there are not, or how I don't know, like people they think that I don't know astronomical events have certain affection in your life, like because you born uh, on the 4th of July and Mars was in the orbit of Venus, and like a star that is uh, 100 light years away is affecting you the way you think. Uh, but going more on the cognitive bias side is like this, like we have like you have a lot of cognitive biases like survivorship bias, for example, that we 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 see like the successful people, but we don't see like um, uh, failures.
Hmm.
Actually, the survivorship bias comes from a good example. Like I think it was in Second World War. Uh, they they made an analysis of all the all the all the airplanes that were hit during the war and try to detect where were more the weakest areas on an airplane because where they were shooting. Okay, and then they found like a pattern on where they were shoot. But then somebody said, okay, but we are looking only to the planes that survive it. So we are looking only to, so actually we need to look the planes that haven't survived where they were hit, because we are looking at the ones that, and so we are looking in the wrong place. And I think that what we do this all the time, but there is one, and if this like this confirmation bias that I think that we like to look for confirmation on the ideas we have. Like, you know, this say that if you um, if you have a hammer, you always see like if you have a hammer, you have you how you say it, like what you do with the hammer.
The to
What?
hammer the hammer like
Yeah,
the yes
yeah. Why you
the
hammer?
nail the nail the
The
nail.
yeah. But if you have a hammer, you only see nails.
Yeah.
Okay, uh, because it's like that. I mean, like I don't know. I always remember this when my wife got pregnant. I suddenly start to see like a lot of pregnant women all around me, but they was always
Yeah.
there. It's just me not looking to it. And then we are more influenced by our own biases that that we think.
Exactly. You bring up a good example. This is called, I think, from a scientific point of view, it's called RAS, the reticular activating system. And this is why you buy a red car, and when you leave the lot, you only see red cars. The red
Yes,
cars are always there. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
We tend to, yeah, yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, and
It's kind of
it's
like
also a
the,
connection. Yeah, it's also to try to connect what we think. Okay,
yeah.
what we always emphasize with things we like or we understand. And
Hmm.
if we go, for example, to social media, I mean, the algorithm know that. So if Instagram or TikTok or whatever will show you stuff you like, because basically enhancing your
Hmm.
your ideas on the things you like. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Okay. And your last one, your last takeaway. Prediction problems. Over reliance on predictions can lead to vulnerability to rare and unpredictable events.
yeah. This is yeah, this is actually connected to uh, uh, with he put this on the stock market side. Basically, we have the past that we have like past return don't that means like the future returns we go the same way. uh, we have a tendency that they go on that direction. But when we create our mental models
Hmm.
on anything, uh, he's saying you don't put a rare event happening on the model. And this it's basically the model will be destroyed just because you haven't considered the rare event to happen. um, for this come from an example for when the 2008 crisis.
Hmm.
uh, One of the things that happen is all these quantitative models for special with the stock market were made around a lot of predictions and stuff that are well known, and then you have like a lot of risk management in any directions. But there is no possible way to put the red event on the model. So when you have a model that works in a direction, and when something really rare happen, uh, uh, actually it's also explained in the book. I mean, like what happened, for example, in the 2008 crisis on the as a rare event. It was considered like 1 in 1 million that happened, but it happened. I
Yeah.
mean, so I happen, and it creates an entire crisis because not consider that event. And he said the people that consider red events as something that may happen, you can take advantage of that red events to happen. I mean, that doesn't mean you need to live your life like overthinking about red events, but not to uh, think that nothing will happen in the future, that everything will go in a smooth and trend line in the direction you like.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Great. This is a great book and a recommend. It's a great book in terms of your takeaways and quotes. Who would you recommend this book to and why?
I I would recommend to anybody that uh, uh, like scientific approach to
Hmm.
things. I think that I would recommend this to mostly to anybody. I would recommend, especially if you are more in the finance sector or like investment sector related. It's definitely a book to read. If you are, I would recommend this to anybody on the investment finance sector because we work with a lot of data, and this is something. But in general, I think that it's a good thing to understand randomness in life and how it
Okay.
may affect you, and to have more this scientific approach to things in life. I think
Okay.
that uh, uh, I'm seeing much more that uh, a sort of magical thinking are coming back again to many people, and we are putting the the weight on things that
Hmm.
are not a scientific thinking. And I think that is
Okay.
really really important to approach things with a scientific mindset. And this
Okay.
that means to doubt, to
Uh-huh.
think, to try to criticize, to review, to
Hmm.
uh, like, am I right? I mean, this could be done this way. What if I'm wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, definitely. And here we're highlighting, founders for growth. Is this to a future or a current founder? There are, thousands of books that are published each year. Should this be required reading for startup founders? Or it depends.
Yeah, for startup founders, yeah, I mean, I will definitely recommend it. I mean, like, uh, because as I told you before, I mean, it's good to understand like the random events in life. Uh, Maybe will not give you uh, it's not a guide of what to do when you start a
Yeah.
company. I mean, it's not a guy on that sense. So it's not, if you're looking for, let's say, advice for when you start a company, it's not that book. But if you want to, I think that it's the kind of book that works on a more on a meta level in your mind rather than in a specific skill that you
Okay.
will get from that. So if you're looking, you're just started a company and you will looking for like uh, a hands-on approach on things you are doing right now, this not it's not the book. But if you are more on the meta thinking level
Hmm.
of your thinking as an entrepreneur, it's definitely a book to have in your bookshop.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to transition into our topics that are focused on setups to so you can give us some of your insight related to this. All right. Uh,
Okay.
the the first one we have is bootstrapping a startup.
Mm-hmm. Wait, wait a sec. I will put again this again. Okay.
Okay.
So bootstrapping a startup. Okay. What's the question about that?
Okay, so your opinion, your experience, your insight of you can take this in any direction.
Yeah, I think first years of any projects are really hard,
Hmm.
and you need to be prepared of for the for rowing in a sea of chocolate. I mean, like that. It's really hard, and it's not in the direction you think, and uh, it's not what you brought on the Excel sheet. It's the relationship with your providers, with your partners, will change.
Hmm.
Uh, 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 um, and then you need to have this sense of discovering on the bootstrapping level. And also another thing that you learn is also, it's, I think there is this phrase that I think is quite useful is fail cheap, fail fast. I mean, like,
Hmm.
don't be aware of failing, and also don't be super attached to the original idea.
Hmm.
Don't be attached to the original idea. Don't be super attached. Uh, that doesn't mean to change what, every day, but if you have the feeling that it doesn't gonna work that way, don't be super attached to things, especially in business. It's a really bad thing to be attached to ideas in businesses. It's good to be in other parts of life. It may be good. I mean, to love an idea or to
Exactly.
pursue an idea, but in business, I think we need to be much more practical.
Exactly. It's also common. It's said often. Obsess over the problem, not the solution.
Yeah, I think that in many levels, it's you need to be really practical. I mean, it's nice you have an idea that
Hmm.
is behind and drives the core of the company in certain direction, but the day to day is really practical, and it's it's not a philosophical thing what you're doing in business. That's for if you like to if you like philosophy or you like to answer meta questions. There is other areas where you can done this quite successfully, and it will be much more fulfilling. But on the business side, it's about if it doesn't work, people buy it, people don't buy it. You make money of it. On You don't make money of it. Will I make money of this or not? And that I think is uh, that's a good thing about companies, and the bad thing at this time, we have a measure of success that is called money in your account. So and that's it. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. Okay, okay, perfect.
outside all the changing the word narrative we may have.
Yes, yes, definitely. Okay. All right, which leads us into fundraising,
Yeah.
the next
Oh,
topic.
that's yeah. I think it's connected with bootstrapping in a way. Um, it's it, it's a particularly for me, it's a job that I like a lot. I mean, because uh, it has like three parts that I like.
Hmm.
One is, and it's connected with things that I like personally. That is storytelling. I mean, especially with fundraising, it's about you storytelling and trying to convince someone that your idea, your project is investable, and they will make money uh, there. So it's about selling an idea. It has this more utopical thing that drive the force. It's not practical. It's more like
Uh-huh.
storytelling. Then, especially in the first in the early rounds, it's really about the team,
Hmm.
and it's about you and your partners if you have them. So I think that uh, uh, it has like this ego side that
Hmm.
if you are good telling a story, and also people feel that you are confident and you are doing, I mean, you get this sense of confidence on in you, in yourself. And uh and then has the bad side has like a huge emotional impact on on in the time you're doing it, because in most of the cases you will get to know, and this, to wake up and to have calls with people that is saying no to you, or even if they are direct, that it will be easier. But when you get this no, that is uh that are like in going in circle, yes, no, or they are saying yes and they say no, this has a huge emotional impact on you, that people criticizing or on and it take a toll on that one. And that's that I think is the bad side of it.
Hmm.
And uh, but when you do it, it's and you prove yourself you can do it. I think it's a quite fulfill personal experience. Besides that, then with this money you will be able to do whatever
Yes.
you want. I mean, and 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 I think that it's something that entrepreneurs need to deal with and need to try, uh, and and it's a learning, because you learn.
Hmm.
Uh, it's actually an actual skill to fundraise, I think.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. This brings me up to like two like sub questions related to this. What advice would you give to founders about on becoming a better storyteller?
Um, I think I think that to learn marketing and advertising, uh, it's a good approach. Like uh, look a lot to advertising, to marketing campaigns. I'm came from that sector, so I get a lot from there.
Hmm.
And uh, we connect much more with stories that with the actual feature of the product, or uh, uh, um, and then when actually, I always put this example, when you, for example, you look to certain products that the product itself doesn't have much. For example, if you look to Coca-Cola, what it is. It's I met once the CEO of Pepsi, and he explained me how much money they spend on brand awareness and marketing every time, and I explained, he explained me because we sell water with sugar and bubbles. It's basically nothing. I mean, like, if we can't stop you telling you that uh, you should drink this because it doesn't hold by itself. I mean,
Yeah.
the need for this product, um, and they are good like creating this, like the you're happy, you're cool. We connect with that. I mean, it's not because of the product. And then if you see successful brands, uh, the obviously it's good to have a product. I mean, like,
Mhm.
a good product. It's the right starting point for a
Okay.
good story, but it's more the status or wherever you will get, and how we connect with that. And I think that when we do an investment, uh, uh, we we like to talk about the investment we done and how clever we feel about the investment we done, and we like to tell this to other people. I
Hmm.
mean, and why we like to tell this to other people? I mean, we because we can create a story about that. I mean, uh, and I think that you need to give that, especially in the early fundraising, that to the investors. You are giving them an idea. You are giving them a team that will drive this company to success, and then you're giving them a story they will tell. Uh, 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 and I think that to learn this, to narrow phrases, to communicate in a more clear, straightforward way is important. And also, if you can do it by yourself, because sometimes you can't because you don't have the skill, just hire someone that do that. I mean, it's fine. Uh, um, for example, in our case, we have the aid from a company that was good doing this. I mean, we have an idea, uh, and they help us to create a story to tell investors, and it's really important. I mean, like, it's selling. If why why I always say this: why, if if you like to launch a product, you are aware that you need to do marketing, you need to do advertising, that you need to put it nicely, blah blah, and then you need to put a ribbon to what you're doing to create the need. What if you do that for your product? You can do that to your company. Your company is the product you're likely to sell to the investor. You need to you need to take the same approach. And if you don't know how to do it, maybe you know how to do marketing and advertising, you will hire an agency. You might do that the same for your fundraising.
Okay. The second question was how to handle the no's. You talked about you're going to hear a lot of no's, and in theory, you could say, yeah, yeah, this is common, but everyone reacts to this in different ways. So, is there any insights you can give, or I don't know, motivation related to the no's, the infinite amount of no's that can come your way?
No, uh, um, I think there is like two definite moments with the no's. The
Okay.
the moment that the no is happening, and you have the at that moment, it's a really common feeling, and then you will feel bad without uh, no. Besides that, no has a good reason, but you will feel bad. I mean, you there is nothing that that uh, that I will tell you that no, do this, and you don't gonna have the frustration. You will have it.
Okay. Okay.
One thing that I learned not to do is, if I get a no, I don't instantly become upset with the person that is giving me a no. I think that, for example, I used to do this, like, uh, I was speaking with a person, blah, 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 and then I get a no. And then I get super upset on a person, like, no, he's stupid. I mean, like, whatever. And then you try to create a reason to deal with the no, giving the fault to the other person to give you a no that he doesn't understand, or what, blah, 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 blah. I think one of the things is, you get a no, you will feel bad. That's it. I mean, you need to deal with that. Do whatever you want. I mean, go running, cry, deal with that. I mean, it's fine. I mean, feel bad. It's
Hmm.
it's it, it's it's nothing that we can do with that. I mean, like, I don't know if I put another example, like, if you like a girl or a boy, whatever, and that person give you a no, no, I don't like you. I mean, what if we start to think, oh, okay, no, but right now you tell me the no, I know that you're like a shitty person. No, is it like 5 minutes before you was telling me that you want my money, or you want to date me? And I think we need to deal with no. We need to deal with stress with that. Uh, so there is no recipe for that moment you get the no. So go and cry, go stroll, whatever you do, move to the next thing, and that's it. And in the, maybe, let's say, the day after,
Okay.
the 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 aftermath, let's say, you need to think that life goes on, and not to overweight the no
Hmm.
in a way. Maybe you need to think. Maybe maybe sometimes they give you a no for the right reasons, and then you say, okay, maybe they are right, and then you treat this as a learning for your next uh, talk, or you just move forward. I think that the thing is, you move forward. Especially, I think that what I always say, when other founder asked me that they start to fundraise again, I think that the it's really important to reach the first yes. Once you get the first yes, uh, you know you can.
Hmm.
Uh, and I always think this, when I get one no to another, I always think that, but I already get a yes at certain point in time in the past. So if I was able to get a yes in the past, I might be able to get in the future. And I'm connecting with randomness and probabilities. It's also about probabilities. I mean, like, if you talk with 10 investors, you have like 99% chances you will get 10 no's. But if you talk with 500 investors, you had uh, high odds
Yeah.
to get at least a yes.
Yes.
And you need to put toward probabilities to your side. I mean, uh, and I think this is another advice that way. So you can, in resume, you can deal with the no's on the short side. On the short term, it will affect you. Do whatever make you feel good. And in the, let's say, the aftermath, once you recover yourself, uh, uh, um, move forward with the no, like you do to everything in your life. I mean, if you if we, let's say, we put like a much more life and heavy sound, when somebody we like or we love dies, we feel bad. I mean, we there is no something that we can I can tell you, no, you don't gonna feel bad if you do this. No, you're gonna feel bad every year, and then you will have the you will remind that person, and you will feel something. But with time, you get over it. I mean, obviously, remembering that person you love that maybe died, it will drive you, and then you will become nostalgic. But work keep moving, and like, humanity is here because we have somehow we are prepared to deal
Hmm.
with with bad things in life. So I think that we should bring that approach to a more business side oriented when funding, that no is part of it, deal with it, go ahead.
Exactly, as part of the process. What do you think about sometimes people advise, you can take the no. Well, first, we shouldn't take it personally because the person is perhaps they're saying no to the offer to the situation. They're not necessarily saying it to you. Sometimes we can easily get offended and saying it's like an attack in a way. And it's like, no, based on, as you said, if it's a person in a romantic sense or whatever, it's a question of preferences. This person or this investor, for example, this is not the right project for them, or they're not interested in it. And this is why it's important, as you said, instead of 10, once you get to 500, it becomes, you go on autopilot in a way, I can imagine.
Yeah, I think that there is there is something that that I think is bought from the stock market, that is called a momentum stock. What is a momentum stock? Is a momentum stock is a stock that for a reason it's in the right direction to and has a momentum. Okay, that everybody's talking about them, and everything is going in that direction. I think that you need to put yourself in a way that uh, you deal with all these no's, but when for some reason you get the momentum, go there. I mean, like, you need to. There is where you put all in, because momentum is a driving force that is amazing. I mean, it happened to me as well. That you get the no. At a certain point, you get the yes, and then you enter in a momentum that you start to get a lot of yes, like you, and it brings you a confidence, like, okay, I will get a yes right now because I'm on this mood. And this is something that when you feel that also is something happened, like actually it's a book that is called The Tipping Point. It
Hmm.
talks about this. I mean, like, there is something, narratives or whatever, that are built at the moment they reach a tipping point, that every everything starts to go like super fluent and smoothly, like, because there is a powerful invisible driving force moving this forward. And I think that when you are in your fundraising process and you feel this happen, is at that moment when you go full speed. Because on the fundraising side, that happens as well. I mean, like, uh, the the first ticket is the most difficult one. Once you get the first one, a momentum start to create, and and we have this herd behavior, and like, nobody likes to invest in something except, like, uh, okay, but this guy invested. I mean, they don't know maybe why, but just because this guy or what is investing or is looking to it, it will create like this fear of missing out, like, in case of, and actually it could be even an investor they hate. Okay, and I say, like, oh, what he has seen that this guy that I haven't seen, just in case of, I will put my ticket here just in case. And you need to understand that this is much normal than you think, and not it's not about how good the project is, how good the idea is. It's just because everything aligns in a way that if you find momentum, go with it.
Okay, perfect. This brings us to product market fit.
Hmm. Okay, like the holy grail
The
of
holy
a
grail.
startup. Yeah, yeah. I have my own view about this. Is uh, uh, It's, are you making money or not? That's it. That's your product market fit. I mean, we need to. I think that we overthink the product market fit. I mean, and we have this new roles of the product manager or the product. I mean, I used to always have difficulty to know what they do, or what, because nobody knows the exact definition. Um, I think that should be quite clear. Like, people is willing to pay what you're giving to them. That's it should be the only question you need to ask. And people is willing to pay for this, and it, they want to pay it in a sustainable way. Like, there is always a new people coming in to buy it, or you just reach the point. That's your product market fit. I mean, uh, I try not to overthink that. And one of the things that I see commonly on product, that product features are mistakenly put on the product. I mean, like, are you building a feature, or are you building a product? I mean, and we try to really overthink features instead to the product. I mean, then the product may have a lot of features, but when you are starting, you may like to have a really basic product that fulfill a certain need, that to the more general need that your target audience has, instead of trying to build a product that is full of features that fulfill that person problem and also that person problem. I mean, you can't do everything. You need to try to be more general. I mean, like, let's address a large problem, and let's try to solve it. And obviously, each person may have a particular side of it. And then maybe if you have 100 clients that you have sold them, and then 60 of them want something in particular that is common to you, okay, maybe you need to build that and to keep these clients. But if like two clients want something special that you don't have, okay, you need to choose. And I think that the only question you need to ask yourself: are we making money with this? That's
Exa- I think you make a great
that's it.
point. Keep it
Yeah,
simple. We don't have to
yeah,
complicate something that doesn't need to be
yeah,
complicated.
yeah. Are we making money? If not,
Yes, yes, yes.
then the amount, not the amount of money you do, because obviously maybe you right now it's a you need to scale that, but maybe you have 50 clients, they're paying clients, and okay, if we stay of having 50 clients, we have 3,000 clients, it will work. Yeah, okay, then you have your product market fit. If you already have these people paying for that, and it's able to scale, it's not much more complicated to that. And actually,
Okay.
we I think we need to we try to really overthink, especially in the startup thing. And when you look to more regular businesses, uh, 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 um, I don't know, if you open a shop and you sell coffee, the product market fit is instant. I mean, you sell or you don't sell coffee. I mean, you but you don't do all this review. No, maybe it's the plate. We put, instead of putting it gray, we change it to red, and this will drive conversion of our coffee like 2%. This is not, you sell coffee, and or you don't sell coffee. That's just instant. I mean, people enter to your shop or doesn't enter
Hmm.
to your shop. People buy from your shop. That's your product market fit with anything.
Okay. Okay.
Then when you are in a large scale, where you reach a certain level, okay, maybe now it's time if how we can improve this, or how we, because, like, I don't know, selling 2-3% more, it would create a lot of value at that moment of time. I mean, it's for a company, I don't know, like Microsoft, to uh, uh, sell 1% more than the last year will mean 2 billions. Okay, but in a startup, it's not on that moment. Like you need to improve that 2-3%. You are in the moment you need to just sell. You will have
Nice.
time to for that perfect tweaking of your product.
Yes. This is a nice segue into customer acquisition. Typically, this is divided into two main camps, B2C, B2B, etc. What do you have to say about customer acquisition?
Yeah, I think that I think you have like here two uh, ways of thinking about it. I mean, uh, you can think more in a way on or what do you think is that is more important? That is the top of the funnel or the lower part of the funnel, and I think here it would really depends on the product and the product pricing and or if B2B or B2C. I think, for example, I think with B2C products, is I I I I will focus more on the upper part of the funnel uh, because B2C products are usually much more driven by our emotions, are like the instant reward you may have at that point, and so it makes sense to focus on that. Whatever you sell, uh, uh, especially with physical products on the uh, uh, and then you see if you actually look into what are the most uh, uh, the advertising are usually much more of this kind of product. The kind of the because they need to create a needs and because you don't wake up like you wanting uh, an iPhone. I mean, like they need to put it there all the time. With or if, for example, you look to more consumer staple thing like I don't know, detergent or whatever. I mean, the main advertisements in the world are Unilever, Procter and Gamble. Why they do that? Because they know that they need to be on the top of the funnel, uh, uh, creating this driving force to you to purchase the product. When you go, I think, to B2B or B2B2C products, uh, I think that, uh, or I think that the sales, uh, the the bottom of the funnel that is more connected with the sales part is much more important because the the driving force to buy that is maybe the relationship you may create with the person to that will explain you what you're doing or what you're gonna buy and how it will help you to do that. And I think that all parts is important, but I would try to differentiate that. For example, uh, um, uh, if if you have a product that uh, uh, is more like driven by emotions to buy it, I think that make a lot of sense to really focus on the top of the funnel. But if you have a, a product that is more connected with some rational or need thinking, especially with B2B products, that you try to think how it will help you to do something or this, or for example, with an investment product. One investment product, it's okay. If we put example on common sense, like people is investing like 10K, 15K, 20K. It's not like emotional thing. Like okay, let's send this guy 20K, okay, right away. I mean, so it will. What it makes sense is that you need nurturing these leads to force them into your sales team, and the ones that need to be good is the sales team because it's more connected with with the connection you make. And I think that you need to try to understand this. It's there is no a right question. I usually think that also what I see mostly on usually there is a lot of recipes usually for B2C out there, and I one of the common mistakes that I see is like take like B2C recipes uh, to every sector and or to every product, and no always work like that. And for example, especially for example in startups, I also see a lot of like the SaaS approach, like the software as a service approach, because are more like the most common companies out there. And then you see all this uh, software as a service KPIs, and I see like, why you have this KPI if you like you do something really different? If you sell cars, I mean, why you have like software as a service approach for this? And uh, uh, try to, if you copy something, try to be try to get a guess if you are copying on the right sector. I mean, because not everything works for everybody on all the sectors. I mean, you don't communicate the same way if you sell life insurance, that if you say a software to, or you sell Spotify. It's not the same product. It's not the same way of you saying to it, and you can do the same. So
Okay.
eh,
Okay. All right. We just have a couple more.
yeah.
Creativity and innovation.
What? Sorry.
Creativity and innovation.
Okay. What's the question?
So creativity and motivation. This is, I mean, we're talking primarily to the FluentReads community, which is empowering, startup founders. In what ways? We can take this in many directions. Sometimes creativity is necessary because there's a lack of funding. Um, Maybe looking for inspiration for creativity, following trends in the startup community. What direction would you like to take this in?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in a way are connected. Obviously, innovation or like creative innovation. I think that is part of it. Uh, but I think I always like to put it separate. I'm more. Um, I think for innovation, I mean, I try to be much more narrow of what is a truly innovation, and I
Mhm.
think that innovation usually is happening on the on the more scientific level. Who is innovating? It's like people that is uh, creating new things on a really deep level. I mean, and I think that we put innovation to uh, everything that looks new. We put it as an innovation, and I think okay, what could be an innovation? Okay, um, and then I think that creativity should be a creative is a way of thinking of
Mhm.
solving problems, because you may have uh, a problem or you want to say something, and creativity is a way of connecting dots and put them together, and and uh, and I think that creativity is the force that helps you to solve problems uh, with 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 elements you have that you put in a different way. I mean, an innovation is more connected with create new elements. I mean, when you innovate, you create something uh, uh, that usually doesn't exist. Maybe putting things together. Obviously, you need creativity to that to happen. But innovation is more connected with the new. But creativity is not necessarily connected with the new. It's maybe connecting the old parts and
Mhm.
putting it in another way, or to try to have a different approach to the same problem or to the same idea, and or the way you tell that. And I think that's. I mean, especially when when we go back to stories. I mean, creativity is connected more how you tell that and how you, and maybe it's the same message below that, but the creativity is the salt and the pepper we use for.
Exactly, exactly. And that brings us to our last one, exit strategies.
Uh, I, I look for recommendations. Okay, I never been in this situation so far, so it's just a guess in my life right now. I mean, I partially exit other company that I have, but I didn't have like a proper exit. Uh, I don't have, in my case, I don't have. Uh, uh, I I changed my mind about that. I'm not creating something with idea of an exit. I'm creating something with idea to be a milking cow that I can milk all over the next years, and maybe somebody would like to buy the cow at certain point. But uh, I'm not creating the company with idea that I need to sell the cow. Uh, so I don't have an exit strategy because I'm not thinking much that I will exit it. You know, and I think that this is my approach. When this happens, if it happens, you can call me again, and you uh, uh, um, I I I think that maybe, and I think that is something that is quite profound on the startup sector of this idea of exit, and I think this is connected with VC funding, because VC funding needs an exit strategy, because that's the business. You invest an amount, and at a certain point, you need to go out and to be repaid in that amount and made a profit of that amount. So it's that's the business. That's the and I think that this contaminated in a way the startup they're investing and the founders itself, because you have a guy that put money on your company that is looking for an exit, then you need to create an exit. And maybe it's not because you want an exit, it's because the guy that put money wants the exit. And you need to try to think if how you will deal with that. And one, I don't know much about exits, but what I understand, what I learned is the investors you get will shape the future of the company in a way of what you need to achieve. I put you an example with this because it actually happens to me. When we were fundraising, we have this slide of what you will do with the money, blah, blah, and at a certain point we have exit strategies, and they say exit strategy obviously to sell to Google, like the company or whatever. Um, and there was like, but okay, but if we reach this point, we may be able to pay dividends at certain part of time, and then maybe in if we reach this point and we start to pay dividends in 5 years, you will have recovered the entire amount, and then you will start get paid. And and I remember that I pitched this to one investor, and he became super upset that I put like I would like to pay dividends, like super upset. They say, what's going on? No, well, for me, you pay that you will pay dividends. For me, it's a bummer because blah 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 and this and that. And then I said, okay, right now I understand that the VC is also business that is participating in your business. And okay, so the guy is looking for his business, and his business is this: to buy cheap, sell buy low, sell high, and make a profit. So this steady income thing is not a formula for him. And I say, okay, no, I need to have an investors where to pay dividends. That is actually why you make a company. I mean, like, we have forgot about this so much. We have for and I super right now it's becoming again, because like right now, like, all this value of companies that they it's not like hyper grow, and then maybe to make profits is something good you may like to have. And then we create this sort of a startup economy where, like, a big fish will eat a small fish till the end. And I think, okay, this might be a way, but we need to think why we create enterprises. You create enterprises to make money, to you employ people, and then you have a surplus. That surplus is the money that the investor gets as dividends. And then you think it makes totally sense. And then if you look like really successful investors, uh, 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 like, I don't know, Warren Buffett, they make most of the money from the dividends he gets from the companies, not for the from the appreciation in price of the stock he has. Like, uh, uh, every year he gets billions in cash that will allow him to do something, buy more. And I think we need to create that on companies. And it's my current focus right now. Is my current focus is how we create a company that uh, that is healthy on that way. That is, as I told you, if I'm creating a milking cow and then somebody wants to buy the cow, I would consider it. It's fine. I'm not saying that, but I'm not just raising a cow just because I want to sell the cow. I would like to raise the cow to keep the cow, first of all. And I think that should be the thing we need to be thinking when we create a company, not on this sort of wishful thinking that somebody will appear from heaven and will buy your company to a massive amount, and you will become rich because somebody bought your company. It could be an exit, but most of the people, the successful people that are non-newspaper, they have another type of company. It's this type of companies, the companies that give them cash every month, and um, uh, uh, there is a say that happiness is positive cash flow, and I think that's it couldn't be more true.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you very much, Edu, for the value you've given us. A mini masterclass in terms of sharing the book on the deep dive, also your perspective on the different topics related to the startup ecosystem. In language, for example, in English, we think about like kind of like a division of past, present, future. If we take this to, for example, in terms of, like a founder, you had a past, you're currently in a present moment, but you also have a future version of yourself that you may be planning for it some way. If you could think about one or two things to, because someone's going to hear this or see this who is maybe a few steps ahead of you or a few steps behind you. What would you say the person behind you, essentially, or in general, however you want to take this? What advice would you give to the startup founder? It's a difficult process. It's an emotional roller coaster in many ways. What are the last few things you would just say to the FluentReads community and from your perspective?
Uh, for I think the devices, it will become clear to you with time. That's it. That it will become every time, it will be clearer for you what you're doing, and how you're doing it. And 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 this is the hope that I have for my future as well, um that it will become clear to me in the future, and that the worries that I have now will we fade away because I will have a much more clear vision of of the the future of the future. And then when you are in the past, that what I have seen, at least in my experience, that it have become clear to me many things that were like uncertain or a worry or or you don't know or you don't know how to manage. And I think that age and experience is a driving factor. I mean, and actually, I envy a lot like really young people that uh, that is trying what you are really young, because that will really help you a lot. You don't know right now that at that moment, and I think that when you I always took examples from other aspects of your life. I mean, I'm much more clear of what I like and what I don't like right now in many things in life, not only in business side, in the personal side. I mean, like what I like to spend my time with, or with which people, or which kind of things I like to be around with or not, and were not that clear when I was in my 20s. And then you just ended up in situations or with people or doing things that then uh, uh, you thought that were good to you and they were not. And then I think that that clarity that uh, uh, um, that you have later help. And then also, actually, for example, when I speak with my parents, and then they have uh, another vision, and then maybe I don't agree with that vision, but I think that that's why they have much more clear things in many things. So that the advice is like it will become clear to you with time. So uh, uh, relax, uh, and nobody have died from this. I mean, nobody have died from this. I mean, nobody have died from from there. So it's um, I uh, I I always say like when someone, I don't know, get a guy who broke your heart and then you feel really bad, and then you always remember nobody have died from a broken heart. I mean, like we live that. Except that you jump from a cliff, you don't gonna die. You're just gonna feel bad. That's it. But it doesn't kill you. I mean, like it doesn't create like uh, 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 a headstroke. You just feel bad. This is like this. It doesn't gonna kill you. So uh, go ahead.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much, Edu. Thank you very much for your
Okay.
contribution to the FluentReads
No, man.
community. And yes, thank you.
I hope my English was clear now. So
Your English
uh,
is great.
yeah, okay, yeah, okay. It
Your English
was
is
clear
great, and
now.
it's going to expire future
Okay,
people. In,
I
yeah.
like to have I like to have the English check
Okay.
for
Yeah.
so okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Later,
Yes,
I'll give you a deeper analysis.
yeah. I think it's something you can put that. I mean, like English level. Yeah, you put the stars. Like okay,
we'll,
like you create
we'll
your
talk.
rating.
We'll talk about that. I'll give you later. I'll give you more of a
Okay,
deeper
thank
analysis
you.
from this. Okay, perfect. All right, take care, Edu.
My pleasure. I looking forward to see this online. Okay.
Okay, perfect, perfect.
Bye bye.